In a surprising turn of events, Raila Odinga announced on October 10 that he was withdrawing from the scheduled October 26 rerun of the 2017 presidential election. In September, the Supreme Court of Kenya held, by a 4-2 majority, that the original August 8 election was invalid because it was not held to the standard required by the law, granting Odinga a second shot at the presidency. Superficially, Raila withdrawing from the polls with barely a fortnight to go would seem like a tremendous waste of political momentum for him personally, and the country's time, money and energy more broadly. However, upon examining the myriad of laws, regulations and court decisions that govern the election process in Kenya, the net effect of Raila's decision may be effectively extending the election timetable, buying both his coalition and the Independent Election and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, more time. Raila may also have thrown open the presidential rerun to more candidates than the two envisaged by the IEBC. To understand how this works, we need to read the various pieces of Kenya's election law scattered across 5 documents: the 2010 Constitution, the 2013 Supreme Court decision on the presidential election, the Elections Act, Kenya's election regulations on elections, and the majority decision in the 2017 election petition. Kenya is highly unusual in that some very detailed provisions of the election law are contained in the Constitution, and meaning if there is a clash between the Constitution and any other subsidiary law, for example, the elections regulations, the Constitution prevails. Specifically, Article 138 of the Constitution contains detailed rules on how elections must be conducted and when. It also has a provision that if only one candidate is nominated for the presidency, he or she can be sworn in as president. But, because of the way the Supreme Court interpreted Article 138 in 2013, the June nominations for the 2017 polls are still valid for an October 26 election, which means that Uhuru Kenyatta cannot be automatically announced the winner. He is technically not running uncontested and a fresh election has to happen. The question for the IEBC is when this new election happens. Secondly, the 2013 Supreme Court decision also held that if one candidate withdraws from a fresh election triggered by an invalidated petition, as is the current case, then the entire clock starts over and all candidates must seek fresh nominations. The initial 60-day deadline triggered by the September 1 decision is suspended and the rerun of the election goes back to the calendar set out in the Elections Act and the election regulations. This process also opens the door for other candidates who did not contest the August 8 election or who were excluded by virtue of conceding the invalidated poll. Basically, under this law, Kenya's election calendar starts from scratch because of Odinga's withdrawal.